Hello, I'm Pooja Chaturvedi and you're listening to the Lounge Podcast. On today's show, we have two guests. One who will take us back to the 19th century Calcutta and the other who will tell us how comedy is inspired by our times. Meena Verma, director of the Delhi-based gallery Arts of the Earth, tells us about her exhibition Kalighat Recreated 2 featuring the famous Kalighat paintings. These paintings have their origins in Bengal with the local artistic traditions of the Patua artist in the mid-19th century. Up until the 1920s, they featured gods and goddesses as well as locals imitating foreigners and also social satires including one on a famous sex scandal. We'll find out more about these paintings from Meena. In the second segment, mint writer Chanpreet Khurana will talk to the US-based comic artist Raj Sharma, who will be performing in New Delhi for the first time. But first, let's take a tour back to the Calcutta of the 1920s with Meena. Hi Meena, welcome to the Lounge Podcast.
Thank you.
Alright, so for starters, can you tell us about the genesis of this exhibition and your personal interest in Kalighat School of Paintings?
Kalighat per se, you see, I have been collecting it together with my ex-husband for very many years because my ex-husband is from Calcutta and I was born in Calcutta. So, amongst other styles of paintings, we had a lot of interest in folk and tribal art and we were collecting a lot of Kalighat. So it started off from there.
Kalighat paintings were the product of the changing urban society of the 19th century Calcutta. And we know that they showcase the upheavals of that time. What were the shifts in subject between the 19th and the early 20th century?
Basically, the style started because, there were a lot of chitrakars, the patuas, the painters who were situated around that area, districts, and they weren't being able to earn a good livelihood. And then, you see, the Westerners have this practice of taking back souvenirs when they visit some place. And they also decided, okay, let's try this, so they settled around the Kalighat temple area. So a lot of pilgrims used to come from all over the country. So they used to make originally they used to make paintings of gods and goddesses, and pilgrims used to buy them as souvenirs and take it back. But other than that of course persisted making gods and goddesses. But later on, you see, they used to observe. They were sitting around this Kalighat, temple area, and they used to observe all these, the babus, Indians who used to try and mimic the Westerners, the Britishers, their habits, their way of dressing, and all the debauched lifestyle that they had. They used to go to all these rich babus, used to go to courtesans and, all that. So then they started doing satirical paintings of how these, so you'll see a lot of these Kalighat paintings, with Indian babus dressed, in a dhoti or something, but with a top hat, smoking a hookah, and there are a lot on courtesan series, and how they used to be kind of totally slavish to their courtesan women. So you'll see that series also, how a lot of these people, women treating them like slaves, making them polish their shoes or making them do chores. You'll see a lot of these. It's very humorous. So it used to be a satirical kind of rendering of what they observed. And it was a moral kind of thing, they wanted to preach, but in a very satirical, funny, humorous way.
Quite interesting. And these paintings use vibrant and bold colors. What are the most distinctive stylistic elements of Kalighat paintings?
Actually they're not very bold colors because they used to use cheap kind of opaque paints. They used to do like kind of water wash, not really wash, but they used to make it translucent. So the colors are not very bright. If you see the actual Kalighat, the colors are not very bright. But the most stylistic thing that comes to my mind are the strokes. It's a very clean, simple line, a continuous stroke, which is very difficult to do. An unbroken line giving the curve. The figures are very voluptuous, but basically it is not very ornate. The women and all will not be very heavily ornamented, or they are simple, very simply done drawings with very simple lines, but very accomplished. The artists are very kind of skilled. So, and the figures are very curvaceous. So that's a very typical Kalighat style.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
If that was a bit heavy for your taste, here's some humor to cheer you up. This is Chanpreet Khurana in conversation with Raj Sharma.
Hi Raj, welcome to the Lounge Podcast.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm getting over my jet lag.
Brilliant. So I understand that you're performing here in India for the first time.
I did. I did my first show last night in Bangalore at Costa Coffee. It was amazing. It was a great crowd, jam-packed. It was fun. The audience was incredible. So for my first show, it was really, really nice to have that kind of a response.
Brilliant. So what style of comedy would you say you do?
I kind of have a variety of different styles. Like my personal style is I do a lot of observational humor, I do a lot of family humor, and then I do a lot of crowd interaction. I talk to the people that are in the audience. Anytime you travel anywhere, you kind of have a tendency to soak in as much as you can, as quickly as you can, as a comic, because you're trying to write jokes that where you are performing, the people that are there will understand what you're saying. So I try to kind of combine everything.
So what sorts of subjects do you find the funny in?
I can find funny in everything. That's kind of a good thing and a curse at the same time. It's easy to find funny in a lot of things, but I do talk a lot about growing up in America and in Texas, especially being Indian. Having Indian parents. There's certain things that Indians, regardless of where you're from. If you grow up in India, if you're from India, or if you're in America and you have Indian parents and you're growing up, the mannerisms and the way of talking and the phrases and all the jokes are still the same. Like we still say things like, I'm still guilty of this as well. But like Indians, as we have a tendency to put words in front of words that don't need to be there. Like if you're I'll give you an example. Like we say chai vai, pani vani, gup shup. Like nobody else in the world does that. We have to realize that nobody anywhere else in the world does that. Like if your doctor did that to you, how much would you trust that doctor? Like if your doctor walked out and was like, listen, we ran some test vests and it could be your spleen vein or your liver liver. How much would you trust that guy as a doctor? So that's one of the things that we notice, that's universal amongst Indians.
So do you do a lot of language jokes then?
No, I do. I do some. Then I do a lot of, like I said, a lot of crowd participation. Then I do a lot of stuff about my family. Growing up with, like my dad is one of those guys who likes to state the obvious. Every Indian dad does it. It's hands down universal. Every Indian dad will state the most obvious thing in any situation and thinks he said the most poignant, intelligent thing. And this is a true story. I was on my way here and I got some news from a friend of mine, and I called my dad, and it's a mutual friend that we grew up with. And I told him, I was like, Dad, I got some bad news that my buddy Jason is getting divorced. And he's like, hey, I'll tell you right now, something must have happened. I'm like, well, that's amazing, Sherlock Holmes. I'm glad you're trying to crack the case too soon. So it's kind of, I just kind of do things that I think everybody relates to. Everybody can see their family in it, or can see their mom, can see their dad, can see their friends, can see the situation. And then the observational stuff I think everybody gets, because it's things they see themselves, or even have made jokes about it themselves, but have never, said it through a microphone in front of, 200 strangers. So.
Brilliant. So what can people expect at your shows?
Here's what I say. Just come out and get ready to have a good time. You could pick the brain from the crowd last night. They'll tell you the same thing. Come out, relax, get ready to have a great time. It's good humor. It's fun. It's things that everybody can relate to. It's things that, everybody sees, everybody does, everybody knows. It's just coming from a different perspective. It's coming from the perspective of a guy from Hollywood, California, instead of somebody from New Delhi.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Raj. And, best of luck for your shows.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys very soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Kalighat Recreated 2 is on till 24 June at the Art of the Earth Gallery in New Delhi. You can catch Raj Sharma in action on 13 June at the Costa Coffee in Basant Lok, on the 14th June at Cross Point Mall, Gurgaon, and on the 21st June at the Carter Road, Mumbai, Costa Coffee. And with this, it's time to bid goodbye until we meet next week. Have a great weekend.